I wish they kind of like changed it with the default mag. Holy, I can definitely tell it's not quite as good. That guy just spawned on his teammate. So hello gamers, sadly the AS Val has had a massive change to the gun, which is crazy and basically makes it a completely new gun. So continuing my new gun series, which this is the 3rd episode, before I did the SR3M and the M107, we're going to be seeing the new AS Val. We're going to be using it without attachments, with retracted stock, with full stock, with extended mag, all this stuff. If you guys are enjoying this series, please like. We're going for 2,000 likes on this one, and we're going to talk about, is this better than the SR3M, or is the SR3M now better after the SR3M had a ton of different changes to it as well? But yeah, let's get right into it. Let's start it off with no attachments at all. So first off, you're going to notice a lot of different things about this gun that were changed. First off, the RPM has been lowered, the recoil has been increased, and the maximum damage range has been increased to 60 studs, which means you can now 3-shot body to 60 studs instead of 50, which is a nice increase. But of course, the major downside, and it is pretty major, is the fact that now it shoots slower and has way more recoil, which I'm going to talk about the implications of this. This is actually a very big change, especially considering my personal setup, which we'll talk about in a little bit. The slight increase in 3-hit kill range is nice, but the time to kill is slower now because you just shoot slower, and it's gonna be interesting, that's for sure. I'm noticing this RPM difference, and it's definitely annoying, but it's not a huge difference because it's 800 instead of 900, which is definitely gonna make an effect on the time to kill, and the fact that it doesn't actually lower the recoil due to this. If you used a muffler on a normal gun and lowered the RPM by 100, it would have a lot less recoil, but this has the lower RPM and more recoil, which is kind of crazy, man. It still is killing people, that's for sure, and the RPM is still really fast. It's like the same as the M16 now, which is going to be nice for people who don't like fastest RPM guns, but if you're an AS Val user, you probably don't like this at all, because the fast RPM was one of the major upsides of this gun. At least it's still 3 shots, and it 3 shots a little bit farther, although I have a couple of ideas for this gun that will make it a little bit more balanced, because in its current state, it's still really good, but I think the SR3M might be better, but we'll talk about it, and I do have some buff or change ideas for this. Also, I think I'm using a stubby grip accidentally. I was accidentally using a stubby grip. Let's see it normally. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is a lot. It is mostly vertical, but it's still a lot of recoil. How well can I control it though? Okay, it's not too bad. It's got a lot of horizontal, but the vertical I can kind of control. Like, I can pull down for the first little vertical bit, and I'm definitely noticing you're not dumping mags as fast. Even with the 20-round mag, I'm not actually dumping my mag as fast as I used to. So now we're putting on delta sight, stubby grip, green laser, and extended mag. This is probably the best setup with the default stock, which we'll talk about full stock and retract stock, which are definitely two of the attachments that make this a little bit different for different players and for different playstyles. And now I can see I'm definitely noticing a lot lower recoil. That's probably just placebo though, because I'm using stubby again, but now I'm using a delta sight, which has like pretty low like visible recoil. That guy just got outplayed. The reload time is still really slow. I wish they kind of like changed it with the default mag. Holy. But now I'm actually able to get a 111 mag, which honestly that was pretty much impossible before. It's just not possible to do that with the default fire rate of 900, but now that the default fire rate is 800, you can actually like shoot for longer, which I guess is nice, but it's not going to be good. There's a little bit of a silver lining to having lower RPM, which can be helpful, but that doesn't mean the gun is better. I'm also noticing a little bit of another upside, which is the increase in the 3-hit kill range, which is 50 to 60 studs. Is not like, it doesn't seem like it's a ton, but it's actually like quite noticeable here, especially with the studs in this game and how they work. Like 50 studs is actually not that far away. Right there was about 50 studs, 46 studs. If the guy was a little bit farther, I wouldn't have been able to 3-shot him with the old AS Val, but I could with the new one. So being able to 3-hit a little bit more often is definitely going to be nice, and I think they changed the min damage range a little bit. I remember it being like 90, and now it's 95. I have an idea for the damage ranges as well, but we'll talk about that in just a second. It's still working though. I can definitely tell it's not quite as good. That guy just spawned on his teammate. But it's still working all right. Oh my gosh, Ghost him. Now we're going to talk about something that basically everybody has been using on this gun, which is of course the full stock, which is kind of overpowered when you really think about it. It just lowers recoil, and the gun already had pretty low recoil, so the gun wasn't going to get nerfed probably. And then when they added the full stock and extended mag combo, that is when you had the problem, because if you could only have a 20-round mag or the recoil reduction attachment, then it would be okay, right? Because you could only have a 20-round mag if you wanted recoil reduction, and if you wanted to have a 30-round mag, you couldn't have a full stock, which is the thing that they had on the SR3M until recently. But on this one, it's just like, oh yeah, you can use just both, and then it became crazy good and probably needed a nerf, and then they nerfed it. So the full stock is, as you can probably still tell, very, very accurate. I feel like they changed the recoil, because I remember being a lot higher. It definitely seems a little bit more tame than I thought, but this is actually working all right. Not as well as it used to, definitely a nerf, but it definitely seems like there are upsides to using this over the SR3M, which we'll talk about SR3M versus this when I get to retract stock, and then I talk about the buff for this, because I could see it getting a buff, but I'd still still seems really good, actually. If anything, the SR3M could get another nerf, and I talked about that in my SR3M video. If you want to watch that, go ahead. I talked about some changes to the gun, and yeah, it's a pretty interesting video, so check it out if you want to. Okay, so full stock seems really good on this, and probably the best option now, but we'll talk about retracted stock now. The thing about retracted stock is it used to be very good with the lower recoil, but now that it has higher recoil and retracted stock increases your recoil, this is going to be more of a problem. And I could see this being pretty much unusable at this point. My walk speed is noticeably faster, but let's look at the recoil. Oh my gosh. I mean, at least it's mostly vertical. The silver lining to this is that at least you can pull down. The stubby grip is the best anyways. Folding grip is okay on some guns. I'll talk about that in a different video though. There's a very big misconception about the folding grip, and subscribe because I'm going to make a video on that. I don't know if I'm going to make it super soon though, because I have plenty of guns to actually make videos on the changes for. I thought there was a guy there. This is actually way more usable than I thought it would be. I kind of half expected it to be pretty much unusable and unviable. Like, it's still higher than it used to be. Even with the slower RPM, the per shot recoil makes the overall recoil higher. The initial recoil is not too bad, but yeah, it goes up to there. I want to see if I can get a long range kill though. I mean, I was like, look at that. Oh my gosh, it's terrible. In my underrated setups video, which you should check out, it's got some good setups in it. One of the setups was a setup with this and retracted stock and a very interesting iron sight. And despite using retracted stock, the recoil was fine. But now the recoil, oh my gosh, it's not. It's okay for CQC, I guess. And I guess this is a CQC like oriented gun. Let's try spraying with full stock for a little bit. Okay, it's still bad. It shouldn't be that bad up close though, which is nice. This is a little bit more CQC oriented. The problem is the SR3M is better in CQC. It just has a faster fire rate and the same hits to kill. That guy just outplayed me so hard, but then I just killed him. Oh. Anyways, this is actually pretty good though. If I was going to buff this thing, which I don't think I would, it's still really good. Personally, I would give this thing a 65 stud max damage range, and or maybe like 105 min, and or like 22 minimum damage, or maybe not 22, maybe 21. But you have to consider, even though this is the slower firing SR3M that's supposed to be better at range, yes, it's a 5 instead of a 6 hit, which is a big deal, but it's only a 1 damage difference. I feel like it would be better just for like the overall feel of the gun for it to be 21 or 22. I'm not asking for 23, 24, or even 25, definitely not 25. It would make the gun feel a little bit more powerful, and it would make the 4-hit kill range slightly farther, but it would not be a big deal, especially with the damage ranges of this gun. But how does it stack up versus the SR3M? Because that's been a running battle for a very, very long time. Pretty much since the SR3M came out, this has been like the two guns that are pretty much the same, but one of them is slightly better, and the SR3M was just better. But now they have full stock extended mag changes, and they got changed in different ways. So where the SR3M is more of a CQC gun, and this is more of an LRC gun, I guess. But even though this has a 5 hit, the SR3M shoots faster, has about the same recoil at this point, has a faster reload, I think a faster walk speed, a faster muzzle velocity, has access to more attachments because it can actually have barrels. It does 1 more maximum damage. The only difference really that makes this a little bit better is that it 3 hits a little bit farther and it 5 hits at range instead of 6. But it's not going to be a big deal, especially considering that this gun is now even less viable at range, and it wasn't that viable at range anyway. So you might be thinking, okay, buff the AS Val, right? I would not buff the AS Val, maybe give it 65, but other than that, for like maximum damage to 65 is what I mean. But actually, I would probably nerf the SR3M again, make the maximum damage range 40 studs. That's it. That's all it needs is 40 studs max. Then it will 3-hit kill a little bit less, not a ton, but it will actually make the difference between the AS Val's 3-hit kill range and the SR3M's a little bit bigger, because right now it's like 55 versus 60. You might be thinking SR3M is 50 studs, right? But it does do 35 max, which means it can 3-hit kill a little bit farther than its maximum damage range, which means the actual 3-hit kill range is about like 55 or 53 studs or something. Let's try with the maximum recoil setup. This is just skeleton grip and retract stock, and your aim down sight speed, even with an extended mag, is very, very fast, but your recoil is very bad. This is why I don't use skeleton grip on any automatic gun. Even if the upside is kind of nice, like this is pretty snappy, the recoil increase is just too much, dude. Like, oh my gosh, look at this. I wish the skeleton grip was like good on any automatic gun. I genuinely would not use it on a single auto, except maybe like the DBV 30-06, but even then it's kind of eh. Can I get a long range kill from here? Ooh, okay, reload. Ah, no, 40, come on, bro. Oi, bro, I'm going to shoot you, bro. Come on, bro, can I get one singular kill? Yeah. All right, that's the AS Val change, but in conclusion, the SR3M is now just better. It was better, and then it was balanced, and now it's kind of better again. This having a 5 hit at range is not a big deal, especially considering the recoil, the muzzle velocity being lower. Anyways, gamers, pretty cool change. Stylist, if you're watching this, which I know you are, I just say make the SR3M have a 40 stud 3-hit kill range. It's still really good with that, and it can actually 3-hit kill to like 45, considering it has a 35 maximum damage. The AS Val shoots slower and has more recoil. It's got to be more powerful, you know? But don't buff the AS Val. The reduction of fire rate is kind of an interesting change, and I'm kind of glad that they did it because it actually makes the guns have like different RPMs, different damage ranges. It's really cool. But yeah, gamers, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.